Project Sentinel, Episode 35, The Cocoon of Waypoint 3, 1. Re-entry at the 36th hour. The Vigilant snapped out of its 12 light-hour skip with a violent, bone-rattling deceleration. The hybrid hull groaned under the stress, every bulkhead and strut protesting the sudden return to normal space. On the bridge, the red combat lights flickered once, twice, then stabilized into a deep crimson glow that painted every face in stark, urgent shadows. Re-entry confirmed, Miller panted from the helm, his knuckles white as he fought the controls. Sweat beaded on his forehead despite the climate systems. Coordinate check complete. We are at 36 light hours, 12 minutes from Sol Prime. This is Waypoint 3. Captain Kray stood motionless at the center of the bridge, hands clasped behind his back, staring at the main view screen. The stars here were sparser, colder, more alien than anything they had encountered before. But it was the structure directly ahead that seized everyone's attention. A massive, glowing construct that made the previous waypoints look like mere buoys. "Thorn," Kray said, his voice low and steady, though the tension in his jaw betrayed him. "Tell me what I'm looking at." Dr. Thorn leaned over his console, eyes wide behind his glasses. The bridge was deathly quiet except for the soft whine of the hull settling and the occasional ping of the sensor net. The obsidian armor of the Vigilant absorbed most of the vibration, but the crew could still feel it in their bones, the sheer distance they had traveled. 36 light hours. They were farther from home than any human had ever gone, alone in the dark except for whatever ancient network had been waiting for them. The forward viewport offered a terrifyingly clear view. What should have been empty space was dominated by a colossal formation. The lead ship of the ancient convoy, the 3-kilometer-long behemoth they had designated Ship 1, was no longer simply anchored or drifting. It was encased. Kray's eyes narrowed. "Magnify." The screen zoomed. The sight stole the breath from the room. A shimmering geometric cocoon of golden filaments and charcoal gray lattice had grown around the massive vessel. The waypoint station, once a pyramid-like structure, had expanded dramatically, weaving itself into and around Ship 1 like a living organism claiming its host. The cocoon pulsed with a slow, hypnotic rhythm, a living thing of light and shadow. Golden threads snaked through the bone-white plating of the ancient ship, binding its broken spine, encasing the shattered core in crystalline lattice. Violet light leaked from deep within the structure, casting eerie highlights across the Vigilance bridge. "Distance?" Kray asked. 42,000 kilometers and closing slowly, Bradley reported from navigation. His voice was tight. "The gravitational readings are off the charts. Whatever that thing is, it's generating its own localized field." Kray felt the weight of command settle heavier on his shoulders. They had come seeking answers, hoping to unlock the secrets of the ancient convoy. Instead, they had found something that looked like a predator that had finally caught its prey after 10,000 years. "Keep us at station keeping for now," he ordered. "I want full sensor sweeps, passive only. Let's not wake anything up until we understand what we're looking at." The crew moved with practiced efficiency, but the tension was palpable. Every officer on the bridge knew the truth. They were far beyond rescue range. If this cocoon decided the Vigilant was the next meal, there would be no one coming to save them. 2. The crystalline cage. "It's the waypoint," Dr. Thorn said finally, his voice dropping an octave as the full horror of the image resolved on the main screen. "But it's not just a station anymore. It's evolved. It's grown a massive, translucent lattice around Ship 1. The bridge crew stared in stunned silence. The lead ship of the ancient convoy, once a proud 3-kilometer giant, was now completely encased. The cocoon was a masterpiece of alien engineering, thousands of golden filaments interwoven with charcoal gray lattice, forming a geometric, almost organic shell. It pulsed with slow, deliberate rhythm, as if breathing. Golden threads had pierced the bone-white hull in countless places, binding fractures, reinforcing the shattered spine, and wrapping the ruined core in a crystalline embrace. The structure was both beautiful and horrifying, a sarcophagus that glowed with cold violet light from within. "My God," Zahn whispered over the comm from his station. "It's not tethering the ship. It's consuming it, integrating with the hull at a molecular level." Kray stepped closer to the display, studying every detail. "Is Ship 1 still intact inside that thing?" "Mostly," Thorne replied. "Structural integrity is compromised, but the cocoon appears to be preserving key sections. Look at the way the filaments follow the original stress lines. It's repairing and reinforcing at the same time." The cocoon rotated slowly on the magnified view, revealing new angles. Some sections of the lattice were nearly transparent, allowing glimpses of the ancient ship's interior, ruined corridors, shattered compartments, and faint, flickering power conduits that still carried the faintest trace of energy after millennia. Bradley cross-referenced the readings. The lattice material matches the step pin composition, but on a vastly larger scale. It's using the same resonance principles we've been employing, just weaponized. Or maybe healing. Or both, Kray muttered. The distress signal continued its low, repeating tone, now amplified by the cocoon into a resonant boom that vibrated through the Vigilant's hull. It wasn't just a call for help anymore. It felt like a scream trapped inside a living prison. Down on level 10 of the cradle, Ilara watched the same feed with Vance. Her fingers trembled slightly as she traced the golden threads on her own holomap. "They tried to save it," she said softly. "The waypoint wasn't attacking the ship. It was trying to keep it alive." Vance placed a hand on her shoulder. "And now it's waiting for us. The question is, does it see the Vigilant as another patient? Or another meal?" Back on the bridge, Kray turned to his crew. "We came here for answers. It looks like the answers are inside that cage, but we are not rushing in blind. Full analysis, every sensor we have. And someone get Jenks on the line. I want her team's take on how to crack that thing without killing what's left of Ship 1. The crew moved with renewed purpose, but the oppressive weight of the cocoon lingered. They were 36 light hours from home, facing a structure that had waited thousands of years for someone to find it. And it was watching them back. 3. The source of the scream. "Zahn, Bradley, status on the safe handshake protocol?" Kray barked, never taking his eyes off the pulsing cocoon. "Holding for now," Zahn replied from engineering, strain evident in his voice. "But the pressure is immense. The waypoint's resonance field is so dense it feels like swimming through lead. Our obsidian hull is reflecting most of it, but the lattice is starting to vibrate in sympathy. If we get any closer, the handshake might not be enough to stop the cage from trying to weave us into itself." Bradley leaned deeper into his sensor array. "Captain, I'm detecting a faint life support signature. Very old, very weak, but the core of Ship 1 is still generating residual heat. This isn't just a scream, it's a heartbeat. The waypoint has the ship on some kind of life support loop, keeping essential systems alive for millennia." The distress signal swelled again, a low, repeating tone that now carried an almost physical weight. The cocoon amplified it, turning the ancient cry into a resonant boom that vibrated through every deck of the Vigilant. Crew members gripped their consoles tighter. Some closed their eyes, as if trying to shut out the sound of a ship that had been dying for 10,000 years. Kray felt the sound in his teeth. "Can we isolate the source?" Thorn worked furiously. "It's coming from the engineering sanctum, deep inside Ship 1. The cocoon has reinforced that section most heavily. Whatever is still functioning in there is what's driving this entire nightmare." On the cradle, Chief Jenks joined the link, her voice crackling with static. "I've been reviewing the crystalline plates from the first relic. The patterns match what we're seeing here. This cocoon isn't random. It's following a specific preservation protocol. The waypoint is trying to save the ship, but it doesn't understand that the crew is long gone." "Or it's waiting for new ones," Bradley said darkly. The bridge fell into a heavy silence, broken only by the heartbeat-like pulse. Kray paced slowly, weighing their options. Every instinct told him to pull back, but they had come too far. The answers, perhaps the key to the entire convoy, were locked inside that glowing cage. "Options?" he asked. Lewis at Tactical spoke up. "The filaments look similar to our step pin material. Brittle if hit with the right frequency. We could cut a path." "We are not here to destroy," Kray reminded him firmly. "We're here to understand, and if possible, to free whatever is left of that ship." Zahn's voice returned. "I can prepare a resonance disruption probe, low yield. We target the primary umbilical between the pyramid and Ship 1's spine. It looks like the main data and power conduit. A precise strike might trigger a controlled reset of the cocoon without collapsing the whole structure." Kray nodded slowly. "Do it, but we move carefully. One mistake, and we join that ship inside the cage." The crew prepared with grim determination. The scream continued, louder now, as if the ancient vessel sensed their presence. A final, desperate plea from something that had waited in the dark for longer than human civilization had existed. 4. Tactical breach. "We can't dock with something that's actively trying to eat ships," Sergeant Lewis said, his hand resting on the railgun controls. "But those lattice filaments are vulnerable. If we hit them with a tuned resonance pulse, we might be able to sever the primary connections." Kray studied the tactical wireframe display. The cocoon appeared as a complex web of golden threads woven through the wreck. At its center was a thick, glowing umbilical cord connecting the pyramid station to Ship 1's shattered spine. "Thorn, confirm the target," Kray ordered. Thorn highlighted the conduit. "That's the primary data and power link. Striking it with a resonance disruption missile should cause a system-wide reset. The cage might loosen its grip long enough for a boarding party." "Risks?" Kray asked. "High," Zahn admitted. "If the cocoon interprets the strike as an attack, it could lash out harder. But staying here does nothing." Kray weighed the decision. 36 light hours from home. No backup. This was the kind of moment that defined them. "Prep the missile," he said. "Lewis, you have the shot. Make it count." The Vigilant edged closer, every sensor screaming warnings. The cocoon reacted immediately. Golden filaments began to shift and reach outward, sensing the new intruder. "Filaments extending," Bradley shouted. "Point defense online," Lewis replied calmly, though his hands moved with urgent precision. The bridge became a storm of activity. Alarms blared as the first threads lashed toward them. Lasers fired in short, brilliant bursts, severing the nearest filaments in flashes of light and sparks. The cocoon recoiled, its glow flickering like a wounded animal. "Now!" Kray commanded. Lewis fired. The resonance disruption missile streaked away, a tiny speck of light against the massive structure. It struck the umbilical dead center. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the cocoon screamed. The golden lattice convulsed. Violet light exploded outward. The Vigilant shuddered as secondary filaments whipped toward them, only to be cut down by the point defense grid. "Heartbeat stabilizing," Bradley called out. "The cage is loosening." Kray gripped the command rail. "Boarding party, stand by. This is our window." The crew moved with purpose born of months of training. They had come to the edge of known space for this moment, to face the unknown and claim its secrets. 5. The network's response. As the Vigilant held position at the edge of weapon range, the cocoon's response intensified. The golden filaments didn't just vibrate. They reached. Hundreds of needle-thin threads erupted from the lattice, probing the dark toward the Vigilant's obsidian hull. "Point defense lasers at maximum," Lewis shouted. "They're trying to tether us." "Hold position, Miller," Kray ordered, voice like steel. "Cho, broadcast the Rosetta override on all frequencies." "Lewis, keep those missiles ready. Let's see if this thing understands we're not its enemy." The Vigilant, a 50-meter needle of advanced human engineering, faced off against a 3-kilometer living tomb. The ancient scream had become a deafening roar in their headsets, a plea 10,000 years in the making. The filaments extended, hungry and relentless. Lasers tracked and fired in rapid succession, severing thread after thread. The cocoon recoiled again, its glow dimming in what almost looked like pain. On level 10, Alara watched with clenched fists. "It's learning. The network knows we're here." Vance stood beside her. "Then let's give it something it doesn't expect. Mercy." Back on the bridge, Kray watched the umbilical. The disruption was working. Sections of the cage were loosening, filaments retracting like muscles relaxing after a spasm. "Boarding party is away," Lewis reported. "They're heading for the breach point." The Vigilant's guns continued their surgical work, clearing a path. The scream began to change, no longer pure agony, but something closer to relief. Kray allowed himself the smallest exhale. They had come to the 36th hour, faced a horror born of ancient desperation, and refused to turn away. The network had waited millennia for someone to answer its call. And finally, humanity had arrived. This concludes today's episode of Project Sentinel. Please join our crew and subscribe for your twice-weekly episodes. We post each Tuesday and Friday at 1800.